Elizabeth, Countess of Low Carb, and on this episode, we're going to talk about weight loss with macros for the keto diet coming up next. Hi guys, it's Elizabeth, Countess of Low Carb, and on this episode, we're going to dive into talking about macros for weight loss with the keto diet. So I want to preface with this video is probably not for bodybuilders, probably not for angry men who I remind you of your mama. It's for people who need to lose a chunk of change of weight and my experience through using macros with the keto diet having lost 50 pounds. So let me dive into the content. Tip number one. Tip number one is that macros are not calorie tracking. What macros are, and if you don't know what a macro is, go check out my macro series, which is in the description link below. I have a video on how you calculate your macros. So after you have your macros calculated, then come back to this video and watch it. Usually I don't say leave the video, but go leave the video, watch how to calculate macros, and then come back with what your fat number is, your protein, and then 20 net carbs, your 3 macros: carbohydrates, fat, and protein. So some people, the tip number one was that some people think that calories are part of macros, and they are not. People fight me all the time on this concept, and I will cite my scientific resources below, which is Dr. Fung and Dr. Berry. Calories in, calories out is 1992 mentality that does not work. I can distinctly remember Rosie O'Donnell doing a show on calories in, calories out. And that is so 1992. Let's get into the millennium. Let's drop this false thinking. That's what made the United States as probably as big as it ever has been through this calorie counting and restrictive counting. If that had worked, it would be a sustainable lifestyle, and it's not. At least for me, and maybe for you. I can recall starting a diet with calorie restricting and stopping about 2 weeks later, maybe 3 weeks. If I was a really good girl, I could get to that point. But the restrictive calorie things is not a long-term sustainable plan. What has been long-term and sustainable for me is the keto way of life, the keto eating. Having lost 50 pounds through that and intermittent fasting, it has been amazing. And so the calorie restriction is not a macro. And so, again, I'll cite my sources below with the medical research on that. But looking for something that is long-term, that is sustainable, is tracking the fat, protein, and carbs, which leads me to number two. There is a book, it's tracking your fat, macros, and carbs is tip number two. There's a book by Gretchen Rubin, I'll put it in the description link below, and it's on learning styles, how people learn new skills, how people learn and go through life. It's an awesome book if you have a younger person who's trying to learn more about who they are, or if you're an older person who's trying to learn who you are as a human being. I highly recommend Gretchen Rubin's book. Again, it's in the description link below. Because it's people's different learning styles. Different people, we're all different, all of our bodies are different, everybody is different, need different things, right? So my learning style may not be your learning style. So what has worked for me, i.e. checklists, things like that, may drive some people completely bonkers. And so knowing yourself well enough to know, if this would work or if this wouldn't work is part of that. But for me, when I first started, I had to track my fat super diligently, my 20 net carbs and my protein. I had to. And I did that for a week, 2 weeks, something like that. Till I could get to the point of knowing what a portion size was. So for example, 12 grams of fat is 1 tablespoon of butter. 14 grams of fat is a tablespoon of coconut oil. 5 ounces of a ribeye steak is 31 grams of fat. Starting to know kind of my portion sizes for me helped me do more of lazy keto. And when I find I'm not losing as much weight as quickly or as fastly as I want to, I kick back into tracking. But I default to doing lazier keto of where I'm not hyper tracking these numbers. Again, when there's the season of where I'm having a weight loss stall or I'm finding my portions have gotten a little bit out of control, I'm having, what is 5 ounces versus a bigger portion of that? Is it really, like 10 ounces? Going back to tracking specific fats and protein are super, super helpful. On a day in, day out basis, I am always really down to the 20th net carb or lower is what I always consistently do. But for my fat range, it's 110 target, and my fat grams is between 100 and 128. I'm doing off the top of my head, 128, somewhere in that ballpark, but I shoot for 100 grams of fat. So tip number two is tracking. If you find that you need to be a tracker, track it. If you find that you want to do a lazier version of keto, then do that too. Work what's best with your learning style. And again, that is what's sustainable for long-term success. If you find that tracking is hyper annoying, then don't do it. But then if you find that you're not losing weight as quickly as you want to, I would suggest going back to a tracking method that works for you. I use my phone and I use Google Calendar, which I've gone into other videos talking about that. But that's the method that I use to keep track of how many, fat grams I've had throughout the day or protein, things like that. Tip number 3 is is labels. Labels are just as important as macros for my weight loss. So this isn't necessarily about macros for weight loss. It's an additional, a bonus for you, as you will, on label reading. I've done other videos about it where creepy carbs hide in ingredients. And so it may say in the macros it has 0 grams of sugar, or it may say a certain number, but then you look in the ingredients and there's something listed there and you're like, oh my goodness, how is there sugar in my chicken? You know what I'm saying? Like, so reading your labels and reading them is just as much as important, and that's an extra bonus tip for you on the macro component. It's just as important for my weight loss, and as I found through losing 50 pounds, is to continue to read labels in addition to my macros as well. My brain can only process so much, and maybe yours is too if you're new to keto, or if you're a seasoned ketoer. It's taken me months and months and months and months to learn about this way of life. And so allowing myself the grace to simply focus on macros has been helpful, and now I can add this component in as I go through my weight loss journey. Tip number 4 is know your portion sizes, which I alluded to earlier, but knowing my portion sizes for me has been super, super helpful. Oh, this is a tablespoon of butter. It's 12 grams of fat. Okay. And that helps me do my math to get to that 110 gram fat per day. And again, I'm a tall glass of water. I'm almost 6 feet tall. That I have way different macros than probably a shorter person or a man, or different variables within it. But that for me, make sure you calculate your macros, has worked out well of knowing portion sizes, what this is versus what this is, to help make things a little bit more mainstream in my life, and has allowed me to have a little bit more freedom within keto of knowing my portion sizes. So those are my macro tips for you of how to lose weight. When I find a tip number 5 as an extra bonus for you is when I find that, again, that the scale is creeping up or my clothes aren't fitting as well as I want, I go back into super strictly tracking my fat, my protein, and net carbs. And again, for me, I do net carbs. Dr. Barry, and I'll put it in the description link below, has a great video on net carbs versus carbohydrates and the distinction between the two of those. In addition, for people who are usually new, understanding the fat sizes with keto, ketogenics, keto diets, ketogenic diet, however you want to say it, keto way of life, learning the different portion sizes has been amazing. For me, at the beginning, breaking that 1992 mentality of, oh, if I eat fat, it's going to make me fat. Breaking that fallacy, that's not true. That is not true, and there's not scientific research to prove that is true. And again, I'll cite my sources down in the description link below about why that is. But knowing that you eating fat is not going to make you fat. In fact, it's going to make your body healthier, your body's function better, your skin, your organs, your general health, well-being by eating this fat is actually really a good thing. And then from there, seeing how much does my body need to have the fat content is super important too. So if you like this video, make sure you click like, make sure you click subscribe. I do have a free email list as a thank you to my followers that comes out every Tuesday. You can sign up for that in the description link below. In addition, I have a free blog, CountessofLowCarb.com. If you want further free resources, I do sell a course called Crush It with Countess. It's my tips for breaking a weight loss stall and how I've lost over 50 pounds through keto and intermittent fasting, and have other courses down on CountessofLowCarb.com, but tons of free resources for you to lose weight. Anyways, guys, if you like this video, put down below macros, and that will tell me that I should make more videos like this one on macros. If I see that key tag, that will encourage me to do more macros videos just like this for the keto way of life and for intermittent fasting too. Love you guys. Wishing you a great day, and keto on, friends. Talk to you later. Bye.